All right, guys, Sunday, November the 16th. Man, what a weekend. A lot of unexpected turns and events took place, and guess what? We gonna talk about it. All right, guys, it's Brutus J, and this is the Brutus J podcast. And guess what, guys? Episode number 20. Can you believe that? 20 episodes, and guess what? We gonna keep rolling as long as you keep listening and downloading. The numbers keep going up. The Brutus J podcast is gonna continue to roll. And guess what? What a big weekend we got to talk about, man. As I said, a lot of unexpected events took place this weekend in college football, even the NFL. And of course, we're going to talk NBA, men's college basketball, women's college basketball. You already know how we do. And we're going to start Friday night. Oregon was at home against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, where the Ducks took care of business by the score of 42-13. Nothing much really to talk about here. The Ducks keep rolling as they looking forward to a playoff push as well as a possible conference championship game. We're going to see how that goes. Second game Friday night, Clemson came in this game at 4-5 and Louisville was 7-2. How about that? But I told y'all, even though I picked Louisville to win this game, I told y'all, Clemson, people are forgetting. To me, this is a coaching situation because Clemson got all the talent in the world on their team. I don't care who they play, anybody can be beat. And guess what? Louisville saw it, and they were defeated by the score of 20-19 to continue on what has been a mess of the ACC this year. So Clemson Tigers upset Louisville Cardinals by the score of 20-19. Now, Saturday's slate began. Ohio State was at home against UCLA, and the Buckeyes, of course, took care of business by the score of 48-10. The only negative thing about this game, Jamal Smith was sidelined with looks like a leg injury. We don't know all the details to it. Looks like he's going to be all right, though. The Buckeyes need everything they got, but even though they got a lot of talent, nothing like Jeremiah Smith. So we hope that he's able to return for the rest of these games. Wisconsin was on the road against Indiana. Not gonna lie, started off as a little scary. Indiana was up 10-7 for a minute, but they ended up taking care of business. Fernando Mendoza and company defeated the Wisconsin Badgers by the score of 31-7. South Carolina on the road against Texas A&M. Y'all, I watched this entire game, and I'm not gonna lie to you. At halftime, when this score was 30-3, I called my son and I told him, they're going to come back and win this game. I just knew they were going to come back and win this game, and they did. And when I tell you South Carolina didn't score a point the rest of that game, they didn't. A&M came back and won this game by the score of 31-30. When I tell you those boys, I don't know what the locker room speech was that the Echo told them, but he said something to fire them boys up, because I tell you, Marcel Reed and company came out that second half slanging. And that was a big win for the Aggies because you already know people like me and everybody else was ready to dump the fire all on them. But they proved us wrong once again, and the Aggies moved to 10-0. And they are at the top of the SEC right now. Right now, it's looking like Texas A&M against Georgia in the SEC championship game so far, but still got a couple of more games to go, so we should see how that goes. Oklahoma was on the road at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And y'all, I say it once and I say it again. In this household, we don't mind if Bama lose. I picked Bama to win this game, but we don't mind if they lose. Oklahoma defeated Alabama by the score of 23-21. I'm just going to say this right here. Nobody fears Alabama. Nobody. Nobody fears Alabama because they're not physical. They don't have a running game. And last of all, they don't have Nick Saban. Now, don't get me wrong. Nobody will ever replace Nick Saban. Ever replace Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the greatest head coach of all time. I don't care. The NFL, college, you can say Belichick all you want. Nick Saban is the best head football coach of all time, period. And he's hard to replace, and I keep telling people, nobody fears Alabama. If you're a Bama fan, hey, you still got a shot. You still got a shot, but you got to get your running game together. And that secondary got to get a lot better as well. Even though Mateer didn't have a big game previously before this game, the secondary, was having issues. The defensive front is solid, but still not the Alabama front that we used to seeing, which is another reason why I said people don't fear Alabama. But once again, Oklahoma defeats Alabama by the score of 23-21. 21. Now, Texas was on the road in Athens against Georgia, and let's just say Gunnar Stockton has inserted himself into the Heisman conversation. Gunnar Stockton and the Georgia Bulldogs defeated Texas by the score of 35-10. And it just looked like this is like the third straight time Georgia has defeated Texas, almost in less than a year, 3 times. Born in Texas, won an SEC championship game, and here we are again winning again. Arch Manning, he was 27 of 43 for 291 yards and 1 TD and 1 interception. And Gunnar Stockton was 24-29, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The dogs are rolling. They looking good and good. Like I say, Georgia can beat you in a high-scoring game or low-scoring game. They just looking real good right now. I'm looking forward to seeing them, if possibly, to play Texas A&M. That's going to be a good matchup. UCF, was on the road against Texas Tech. Nothing to talk about here as the number 6 at Raiders rolled 48-9. Ole Miss had a home game against Florida, also had a scare. Florida almost walked out of this game victorious. So don't let the score fool you. At one point, Florida was leading this game in the fourth quarter, but Ole Miss managed to get business taken care of and win by the score of 34-24. Shout out to Ole Miss running back, man. I got to tell you, that kid runs hard. He is a big reason why Ole Miss is where they are today. So Keywan Lacey had 31 carries for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns. So if it weren't for him, who knows who would have won that game. Excuse me, y'all. Notre Dame was on the road against Pittsburgh. Game day was there. A lot of people were excited about this game, but hey, if you're a Pitt Panthers fan, it was nothing to be excited by. Notre Dame won this game by the score of 37-15. And you already know that old phrase I love to use when it comes to the Irish. Jeremiah Love ran. 23 carries and 47 yards rushing and a touchdown that led the Irish to that 37-15 win. TCU was at BYU. BYU managed to bounce back from a bad loss. Not really a bad loss, but the way they got handled against Texas Tech last week. They come back this week and defeat TCU by the score of 44-13. So good job by the Cougars bouncing back. Utah was at Baylor, and they was all over Baylor, 55-28. The number 13 Utes rolled. Miami, now this was a game I figured to be a lot closer. Number 15 Miami was home against NC State, and they rolled 41-7. Statement game for the Hurricanes, it looks like to me, a big statement game. So let's see how that goes, because like I said, you got Alabama, who's a 2-loss team now. You got Utah, who's a 2-loss team. They was the highest 2-loss teams. Miami, making a statement. Georgia Tech, and this is another game I said it would have been scary because Boston College came in this game with 1 victory. And at this time of the year, folks, it's cold. It is cold in Boston College. And, team like Georgia Tech coming from down south going up there, it was a tough game. But the Jackets managed to win this game by the score of 36-34. And shout out Haynes King and company, Brent Key, because at one point they were trailing in this game by like 13 points and managed to come back in the fourth quarter. So shout out Tech. Looks like they're going to be in the ACC championship game one way or the other, and they still got to play Georgia in the last game of the year. That's going to be a good game. Man, by the way, it's a neutral site, somewhat of a neutral site in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. USC was at home against Iowa. USC managed to win this game by the score of 26-21. The Hawkeyes came to play. They kept it close, but the Trojans were able to be victorious. Michigan was on the road against Northwestern and defeated them by the score of 24-22. I figured this game would be more of a handled win by Michigan, but either way, they won the game. I don't think their fan base is too happy right now with Mr. Sharon Moore, but hopefully he'll get it together for the Wolverines. Long as they win, everybody be quiet, hopefully. Virginia defeated Duke by the score of 34-17. As I said, that ACC is a mess. It is a mess. So later on, we're going to look at the standings in the ACC to see what's going on, because with that Duke loss, that's huge. All right. Tennessee held at New Mexico State by the score of 42-9. Big win for the Volunteers. More like we knew they was going to win this game, 42-9. Navy in an upset defeated South Florida by the score of 41-38. Man, I figured South Florida win this game, but I got to tell y'all, man, that triple option, man, if you don't prepare for it well, you lose it. Bottom line. Arizona was on the road against Cincinnati. This was an upset too. Arizona defeated Cincinnati by the score of 30-24. The Bearcats, they was in contention for that Big 12 conference championship game, and this loss doesn't do them any good. Arizona, shout out to them for a big, big win. Now, as far as the ACC goes, man, this is just crazy. Earlier, before this weekend had started, if they would have had an ACC championship game today, it would be Georgia Tech and Duke. But now it's looking like Georgia Tech and Virginia. How about that? Georgia Tech and Virginia right now are the top two in the ACC. Nobody expected it. I think this year most people were looking forward to seeing Clemson and Miami. How about that? So far, not happening. So yeah, the ACC is a hot mess, but hey, I'm proud of the fact that you got two teams like that that's probably gonna end up in it, because it just lets you know it really ain't all about the money. I mean, because let's be real, Miami got deep pockets. Clemson got deep pockets, even though they don't go in the transfer portal like that. But look at the talent they got, and you got teams like Georgia Tech and Virginia that are outplaying them. Hey, I like it. You like it, I love it. All right, let's talk some NFL. Well, we had a debut of somebody today. A lot of people going to be talking about that. Currently, right now, the Eagles are playing the Lions, and the Eagles are up 3-0 in the second quarter with 14 minutes left in the half. Bears defeated the Vikings by the score of 19-17. I got to tell y'all guys, man, it's it's not looking good for, you can say here, Ricky, because last year, I mean, let's face it, the kid didn't even get a snap in the regular season. He was out. He had a knee injury. He was out for the whole year. And talking about J.J. McCartney, he had a tough day. 16 for 32, 150 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. The Vikings lost to the Chicago Bears by the score of 19-17. And you can just see it in Justin Jefferson's eyes. He is frustrated. Talented as those wide receivers is, I'd be frustrated too, but hopefully the Vikes will get it together. But other than that, Caleb Williams, 16 for 32 and 93 yards. He was sacked twice for 13 yards. Andre Swift, 21 carries, 90 yards. The Bears, hey, they just keep finding ways to win. They looking good, 7-3 in the NFC. So, hey, the Bears making noise. Maybe Ian Johnson is a good coach, man. A lot of people, if you don't know, he was the offensive coordinator for Detroit Lions. I really do think he's making a difference in Chicago. All right. The Dolphins were at home against the Washington Commanders and defeated the Commanders in overtime by the score of 16-13. I'm sorry, this game was actually in Madrid, where the Dolphins defeated the Commanders with a last-second field goal in overtime. Marcus Mariota in overtime threw an interception, which got the Dolphins in easy field goal position and were able to kick the field goal and win the game. Bengals and Steelers. Bengals on the road against the Steelers. This game was nasty. I mean, Chase, he got to get better, man. Chase has got to get better. Clearly, probably the best receiver in the NFL. Probably him, then Jefferson, or you can go vice versa. But the bottom line is Jalen Ramsey was ejected in this game for throwing a punch at Chase. At the end of the game, he alleged that Jamar Chase had spit in his face. Jamar Chase denied it, but there is clear video footage showing Jamar Chase spit in his face. All I can tell you this right here, a lot of people say this, man. Spitting in a man's face is one of the worst things that can happen. And, it's hard not to react if somebody do that to you. But the Steelers were able to win this game by the score of 34-12. All kind of issues with the Bengals. And you got Joe Burrow, who's supposed to come back. I don't even know if I would want him to come back right now. But we shall see. Chargers on the road against Jacksonville, and Jacksonville ran all over them by the score of 35-6. Stats in this game: Justin Herbert was 10 for 18, 81 yards and an interception. 10 for 18, 81 yards. I told y'all, for some reason, the Chargers do not play well on the road. They do not play well on the road. Trevor Lawrence, 14 to 22, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Hilton had 15 carries, 74 yards. Etienne had 19 carries, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So good win for the Jacksonville Jaguars as they improve to 6-4 on the season. Buccaneers and the Bills. This game went back and forth the whole game until finally the Bills in the fourth quarter decided they wanted to pull away by the score of 44-32. Stats in this game. Baker Mayfield, man, Baker, I thought for a minute in that fourth quarter it was going to be another one of them Baker comebacks, but he wasn't able to pull it off. He was 16 for 28, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. While Josh Allen was 19 for 30, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He was running too, man. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. So Josh is he's just a playmaker. Texans were on the road against the Titans, where they won this game by the score of 16-13. Nothing really to talk about in this game. The rookie, he's getting a little bit better. I saw a nice little rollout throw, for a touchdown. Cam Moore was 24-37, 194 yards, and 1 touchdown. Davis Mills, who's replacing C.J. Stroud, or injured C.J. Stroud, was 26 for 41, 274 yards, and 1 touchdown. So not bad for Davis Mills as a backup. Panthers and the Falcons. Now, folks, I don't like to see nobody lose their job. In the sports world, I don't care if you're a millionaire or in your local areas. I don't like seeing nobody lose their job. But your boy Raheem Morris might be out of a job. If not by this week, sometime soon it's coming. I said before this game, if the Panthers handled the Falcons, then that was going to happen. And I stand by it. It might not happen this week, but it's coming. The Panthers defeated the Falcons in overtime, 30-27. Granted, Michael Penix was injured. He was injured. Had a bit of a knee problem. Kirk Cousins came in. But when you giving up, listen to these stats for Bryce Young. 31 for 45, 448 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that is a lot of pass yards, man. I mean, the Falcons secondary, it's like they was invisible. Like, they didn't show up. And it's the same thing, like I say every single week, I can admit, this probably was the most colorful I done seen Raheem Morris on the sideline. Maybe because he realized his job was on the line. But Michael Penix went out with a knee injury. He was 13-16 for 175 yards. Kirk Cousins came in and was 6 for 14, 48 yards. Bijan Robinson continued to do what he do, 23 carries for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the guy you got to feel sorry for because, I mean, he's balling. Bijan Robinson been balling all year, but they're not winning. They're not winning. All right. Packers on the road against the Giants, and they were able to defeat the Giants by the score of 27-20. And I got to tell you, one of them games where Jordan Love decided to show up a little bit in the clutch moments with a nice touchdown pass in the final minutes. 13-24, 174 yards, 2 touchdown passes for Jordan Love. Big Willis even got in the game. He was 2 for 2, 6 yards, and had a touchdown pass. Now, as far as the Giants, as we all know, they don't have Jackson Dart, and of course, Cam Scatterboo was injured. Jameis Winston had to start. He was 19 for 29, 201 yards, and 1 interception. Tyrone Tracy Jr. had 19 carries and 88 yards. Evan Singletary was 16 carries, 44 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They ran the ball a lot. Hey, nothing wrong with having Jameis Winston as a backup, man. This dude, he gets in, he's very serviceable, so I can respect that. Rams were at home against the Seattle Seahawks, where they won this game by the score of 21-19. Now, this game, Seahawks tried to make a bit of a comeback as they fall from 7-2 to 7-3, and the Rams improved to 8-2. But as I said, the Seahawks, they was losing this game momentarily, but decided they wanted to try to come back in the fourth quarter. Sam Darnold was 29 for 44, 279 yards. But the problem is Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions. For some reason, he don't play good in L.A. As a Minnesota Viking, he don't play good in L.A. We saw that twice last year. Seahawks were defeated again, 21-19. As far as the Rams, Matthew Stafford was 15-28, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Lacy, 12 carries, 91 yards and a touchdown. All right. 49ers were on the road against the Cardinals, and they went all over the Cardinals. They won the 22. I thought this was going to be one of them scary games that the Cardinals would somehow find a way to win. Because let's face it, man, Jacoby Brissett, man, you just never know what you're going to get for him. You never know. As a matter of fact, this dude was balling. He set the NFL record with 47 completion. Listen to this, y'all. 7 for 57, 52 yards, 2 TDs, and 2 interceptions. That's a lot of throwing. And even with all that, his QBR rating was 23.6. Now, that's crazy. That is crazy. On the other hand, 49ers Brock Purdy, who returned in the starting lineup, was 19 for 26, 200 yards, and 3 TDs. Christian McCaffrey, 13 carries, 81 yards. Hey, looks like they were happy to see Brock Purdy back. All right. Ravens were on the road against the Browns. The Ravens managed to win this game by the score of 23-16. Shador Sanders came in off of an injury to Dylan Gabriel, who was getting evaluated for a concussion. At the time, the score was 16-10. Cleveland was winning, but the Ravens managed to come back and win this game by the score of 23-16. As I said, Lamar Jackson, 14-25, 193 yards, 2 interceptions. Derrick Henry had 18 carries, 103 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, as far as Shador Sanders, let's just go ahead and get this out the way. You cannot, I repeat, people, you cannot judge Shador Sanders off this game. I already see the headlines right now, rookie struggles. This kid came in, like, don't get me wrong, they do prepare backups as if they're going to start. But it's different mentally. It's different mentally. If you gonna have this kid prep for a whole week knowing he gonna start, it'll be different. But don't judge this man off of this, man. You cannot judge Shador Sanders off this game right here coming off the bench. His stats: 416, 47 yards, and 1 interception. He was also sacked twice for 27 yards. If anything, you could say something to him about that because he got a habit of running backwards. You know, that's something he got to work on. But don't judge this kid off this game. Do not judge this kid off this game. It ain't right. All right. Chiefs on the road against the Broncos, and the Broncos keep rolling. I think this like 8 games in a row. 22-19, the Broncos over the Chiefs. I saw a throw that Bo Nix made, to get them in field goal range, man. I tell you, man, all them Bo Nix haters, they quiet. They are quiet. Bo Nix was 24 for 37, 295 yards, no TDs. Don't matter. He still had a lot of completions. RJ Harvey had 11 carries, 30 yards. And another thing that's very underrated, that Broncos defense. Patrick Mahomes was 29 for 45, 276 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception. He was also sacked 3 times. Kareem Hunt, 13 carries, 59 yards. All right, so that's pretty much it. You got the Cowboys on the road against the Raiders Monday night, and I said what I said about that. Them Cowboys, hey, you going to Vegas against the Raiders, the 2-7 Raiders. You got you a good pickup, in Quentin Williams. So hopefully, for Jerry World and the rest of the Cowboy Nation, this can start something new. Because if you lose this game, it will be a bad, bad loss. And as I said, I got a coworker, man, who's a big time Cowboy fan. So hopefully the Cowboys can pick up that W, because if they don't, he will be hearing from me. All right, guys, let's talk some NBA. Let's talk Saturday night first, and then we'll do some Sunday. Saturday night, you had the Grizzlies on the road against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cavs won that game by the score of 108-100. Thunder just keep on rolling. The Thunder defeated the Hornets 109-96. The Raptors were on the road against the Pacers. The Raptors won 129-111. The Lakers defeated the Bucks. It's a big win by the score of 119-95. And for those who don't know, it was announced that LeBron James is now available to practice with the teams. Probably sometime next week, you're going to see LeBron James back on the court with the Lakers. Nuggets were on the road against the Timberwolves, where they won 123-112. As far as games tonight, Magic are currently defeating the Rockets by the score of 96-95. 2:10 left in the fourth quarter. Warriors on the road against the Pelicans, 120-101. The Pelicans just fired their coach, Willie Green, by the way. That game is in the fourth quarter with 1:07 left, so it looks like the Warriors are going to run away with this game. Trailblazers leading against the Dallas Mavericks 90-84 with 1:08 left in the third quarter. The Hawks at halftime against the Suns on the road, they're losing 58-57. on the road against the Jazz. They're leading 70-61. That game is in the third quarter with 11 minutes and 41 seconds left. The Clippers lost it on the road to the Celtics by the score of 121-118. The Spurs defeated the Kings by the score of 123-110. That was a home game for the Spurs. The Nets on the road against the Wizards, and they defeated the Wizards by the score of 129-106. Did anybody happen to see the Spurs against the Warriors? Now, the Spurs won this game by the score of 109-1. It was a close game. It was a real good game. But, man, I got to tell you, Draymond Green and Wemby was going at it the whole game, but it was one play. It was like like when it was throwing the ball in, and it got through in as an alley hoop. And when I tell you, Wemby dunked all over Draymond Green, it was so nice when he got down. He didn't have no choice but to scream in that man's face. I mean, it is just so unfair. But see, a lot of people don't realize Draymond loves attention. Draymond kind of like a poor man's Dennis Rodman. He good on the boards. He gonna give you points here and there, good assists here and there. But his main thing is to get into the big stars' head to just to try to take them out their game. And he tried to do that with Wemby, but wasn't successful. They won the game, but he didn't get in Wemby's head. Wemby is something different. He is definitely something different. Now, let's look at some of these standings in the Eastern Conference. Detroit is still at 11-2. We're gonna call out the top six. Detroit at 11-2, the Knicks 8-4, Cleveland Cavaliers 9-5, Toronto 8-5, Atlanta Hawks 8-5, and the Philadelphia 76ers at 7-5. Western Conference, OKC 13-1. I keep telling y'all, nothing has changed in Oklahoma City. Nothing has changed. Denver at 10-2, Houston 8-3, the Lakers 10-4, San Antonio 9-4, and the Phoenix Suns are 8-5. So that's pretty much the NBA. Now let's talk some women's. I like to talk women's college basketball before we do men. All right. Let's do Saturday night. Kentucky was on the road against Marshall, and they defeated Marshall by the score of 76-44. Michigan defeated Notre Dame 93-54. How about that, man? Man, what in the world of Michigan got? I mean, defeating my girls Hannah Hidalgo and company by that much, that's a big win for the Wolverines. I don't know what happened, but they definitely got the best out of the Notre Dame Irish. Hannah Hidalgo had 12 points, 4 for 21, 0 for 8, 3-pointers. She had a bad game. I mean, you can't win them all, but that is a big win for the Michigan Wolverines over Notre Dame. Washington defeated Utah by the score of 72-61. North Carolina Tar Heel women 82-68 over Fairfield. UCLA defeated South Florida by the score of 94-61. You know, we over here in the East Coast, we don't hear much about UCLA, but man, they got a squad. UCLA women got a good team. South Carolina defeated USC by the score of 69-52. I got to tell you, every year everybody think Dawn Staley losing all these women, but guess what? She don't do nothing but reload, and they the same. Ain't nothing changed. I think the one matchup that everybody looking forward to seeing in women's basketball is South Carolina against LSU, and that game is coming in January. So stay tuned. So those were Saturday's slate. Now let's talk about today's game. UConn defeated Ohio State by the score of 100-68. Maryland defeated Princeton 84-68. ECU defeated NC State 69-59. Duke defeated Liberty 71-57. Iowa State defeated Norfolk State by the score of 98-52. Now, guys, I want to talk about something real quick. Now, I get it. A lot of guys, and I'm gonna call my son out on this one. He don't watch women's basketball. But if you don't watch women's basketball, you need to start. When I tell you there are a lot of stars in women's basketball, in my opinion, there are more women stars in basketball than men's. They're just fun to watch. They're really fun to watch. So the reason I'm bringing this up, right? Iowa State has a player by the name of Audie Crooks. This girl is 6'3". She is huge. Like she is huge. Don't let her looks fool you on the court. This girl can move. It is just so unfair when she play everybody. She averages 28.3 points a game, 6.8 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Field goal percentage 73%. So when you have a chance, check out our state girls. Audie Crooks is a flat out beast. All right. Michigan State defeated Western Michigan by the score of 98-44. Baylor all over Lemoyne 99-43. Iowa defeated Northern Iowa 74-41. Louisville defeated Clemson 65-54. And Oklahoma all over Western Carolina 95-32. And Texas defeated Texas Southern by the score of 111-45. That is all of Saturday's slates. All right, let's talk about this men's basketball, man. I got to tell you, my Tar Heels, I'm getting excited. I am. I'm really getting excited. All right, we're gonna start off Friday with the men's. North Carolina defeated North Carolina Central by the score of 97-53. And I got to tell you, there's one kid in particular for UNC who getting the whole campus excited, as Hubert Davis said. And that guy is Caleb Wilson. And when I tell you, this guy is a flat out dog. Oh my God, he is good. North Carolina, you got a special player. Enjoy it. Hopefully he don't be like a lot of these players, one and done, because you got a star in Caleb Wilson. North Carolina, again, won this game by the score of 97-53. Duke, another thing about Duke, they won 162. Cameron Boozer. If you don't know who Cameron Boozer is, the last name you should know. Carlos Boozer's son. Looks like him, big like him, but guess what? The only difference is way more athletic. And he led Duke to a 100-62 victory over Indiana State. Kentucky defeated Eastern Illinois 99-53. Texas Tech defeated Milwaukee 80-63. Arkansas defeated Sanford 79-75. Creighton defeated MD Eastern by the score 84-45. Michigan defeated TCU 67-63. Illinois defeated Colgate 84-65. Arizona defeated UCLA 69-65. And Gonzaga defeated Arizona State 77-65. Saturday's game, Ohio was on the road against Louisville, where Louisville won 106-81. Kansas defeated Princeton 76-57. St. John's, the Fighting Johnnies, defeated William and Mary 93-60. And UConn defeated BYU by the score of 86-84. Sunday's slate featured Purdue at home against Akron, and they're currently winning 95-71 with 2 minutes left in the second half. Miami is on the road against Florida. That game is 39-29 by way of Florida at halftime. Final, Houston on the road against Auburn, where they won 73-72. All right. That pretty much wraps up your men's college basketball for the weekend. And as far as the rankings, hey, you still got Houston number 1, Purdue 2, UConn at 3, Duke 4, Arizona 5, Michigan 6, BYU 7, Alabama 8th, Kentucky 9th, and Florida 10th. That's the top 10. One thing I didn't go over was the actual men's college football rankings that came out after this weekend slate. He had some big jumps, particularly Oklahoma. Ohio State was number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M off that big comeback win at number 3, Georgia number 4, Ole Miss number 5, Oregon number 6, Texas Tech number 6 as well. So we got 2 number 6s. Oklahoma at number 8, Notre Dame at number 9, Alabama dropped down to number 10. How about that? BYU number 11, and Vanderbilt, the Commodores, are number 12. How about that? This is the AP 25. As far as the coaches poll, Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Georgia 4, Oregon 5, Ole Miss 6, Texas Tech 7, Oklahoma 8, Notre Dame 9, Alabama still 10 in the coaches poll, BYU 11, Georgia Tech is 12th in the coaches poll instead of Vanderbilt. So how about that for the Jackets? I just find that crazy, that Georgia Tech, won. They had don't get me wrong, it was a bad loss. It was a bad loss to NC State, but, if you think about it, Alabama got a bad loss too, if you look at it now as far as Florida State. But they're still lingering at number 10 after that loss. But, hey, it's just me. I'm not in charge of the rankings, just my opinion. But, guys, man, as I said, what a weekend. And it's only going to get better and better. This season, man, It's crazy. We already done been through 12 weeks of college football and 11 weeks of the NFL. I mean, that is just crazy. And then, next week, hey, it's only going to get tougher. It's only going to get tougher. I mean, next week you got Missouri on the road against Oklahoma. Missouri can beat anybody. Yep, they can beat anybody. You got pretty much you got a lot of these other division teams. This is what you call I heard somebody call it trash week. I ain't gonna use that term. But a lot of the lower level teams are, on the road, against the big time D1 teams like Eastern Illinois at Alabama, Western Kentucky at LSU, South Florida, UAB, USC, and Oregon, probably one of the bigger games. You have Arkansas at Texas. That'll be a solid game because, Taylor Green can be scary. Kentucky's been hot. They're on the road against Vanderbilt. Who knows what can happen in that game? Yep. Pittsburgh at Georgia Tech. That's a game Georgia Tech need to be careful of because, Pittsburgh can be dangerous. And you got Tennessee on the road against Florida. Anything can happen there. Florida's dangerous at home. So who knows? Who knows? But as I said, a fantastic weekend once again. And guys, I said it at the beginning of this show, 20 episodes means a lot. And guess what? We're going to go 20 more. And if we're going to go 20 more after that, we're going to keep going. I just talked to a guy a couple of weeks ago. I think I told you guys I was on his show. 500 episodes. How about that? 500 episodes this guy done did. I mean, he didn't do nothing but inspire me. And as I said, Mr. Billy Linkman, he's going to be on my show soon. Yep, he's going to be on my show soon. And I'll let you guys know when that happened. Had a good show Friday. I don't really put my high school show nationally, as I said, because it's all local high school football. And we had a good show Friday. High school football playoffs are going on in the state of Georgia right now. And the first round was completed, and pretty much all who won was expected to win. But as the playoffs get deeper, it's going to be some bigger, better games. So we look forward to that, this weekend. But other than that, guys, it has been fun. You already know. You know my motto, work smarter, not harder. And I will see you guys Thursday as we preview what's upcoming in the weekend for the sports world. And then you already know Friday Night Lights. And then Sunday, we're going to recap everything. So other than that, you guys have a fantastic week. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Brutus J podcast, people.